Welcome to Mornings with Ken Rosato. It is Monday, June 1st. Whoa, 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 whoa. Who stole May? Oh, it is June 1st, 2026. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. To kick things off, meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast near you. Mike, somebody stole May. Here, I had May like right here, and it's gone. Just
It's
gone.
gone. It's gone. We are fast forwarding into summer. It is nice though to see that daylight still at 8:30 in the evening, right? It's so bright, so late in the evening. And with our weather cooling off a little bit this week, we'll get those nice summer evenings ahead, bringing back some of that extended day and also some slightly cooler weather. So you see these showers just off to our north here. They're kind of running on by, giving us a early morning sprinkle in northern New Jersey. You may wonder, hey, the pavement's a little wet in front of my driveway. Well, that's why. We have some wet weather overnight and then some more showers down to our south. It's this persistent omega block that allows the cooler weather with the clouds and some showers to persist over much of the east, whereas in the Midwest, it's warm, it's dry, but there's also cooler weather back out west, and that jet stream pattern forms the Greek letter omega. So what that means for us here on the East Coast is another round of cooler than average temperatures. And today, I think we'll only make it into the 70s, but still some of that cool weather slides a little further down south, all the way to the northern coast of South Carolina, even into Georgia as we head into tomorrow. It's another front that's associated with a low pressure that drives down some of those northerly breezes. And each afternoon, we get some passing clouds, maybe a sprinkle, especially by later on today and tomorrow, with mostly sunny skies each day to start, and then a little bit of a cooler feel each afternoon, again with another round of clouds for Wednesday. Zooming into New Jersey, it'll be a quiet week ahead, just a little bit chillier than we're used to for June. And there's a little bit of that morning rain that caused those sprinkles in northern New Jersey earlier this morning. We'll take another check of your forecast, let you know how warm it gets this week coming up in just a few minutes, Ken.
I love it. Thank you very much, sir. Mucho apreciado, as we say upstairs in my kitchen. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It is 60 degrees right now, northern New Jersey, 59 in Trenton. Going to California, pardon me, 70 degrees in Los Angeles, although that probably is an old number. Let's see. It is. It's from yesterday afternoon. It didn't refresh. 62. So we're all about the same temperature, 62 degrees right now in Los Angeles. And the temperature in San Diego is also 62 degrees. Looking at traffic, we have a bunch of things happening. Let's go to 295. A crash on 295 northbound at exit 27. That's in the vicinity of where 76 meets 676 in Belmore. All lanes are closed. You could see why. So that is what you have. Emergency vehicles on the scene. And that whole section there on the left side of your screen, which is actually, you could see the divider. It's a separate part of the roadway that is now closed to traffic. We have issues over on the turnpike, which we don't have a camera for, but just to let you know, it's not far from the GWB. This often happens in that area because people get stuck in bumper to bumper traffic. So you get a breakdown because of the stop, go, stop, go. So there's a disabled vehicle now turnpike by the 95 local lanes by exit 72. Just be aware of that. Over to Route 17. Look what we got here. Route 17, we have an overturned tractor trailer causing that. So this is happening 17 southbound at I-80 in Lodi. The ramp lane is closed. It's causing slowdowns for about 2 miles right now. Good luck with that today. Over to the Garden State Parkway. I looked. I don't believe I see a camera. This area in the 80s, 82, 83. For whatever reason, the camera shots never seem to be working. Little hint to the folks who control the cameras. Garden State Parkway, though, there is debris northbound, north of exit 82A, Route 37, west in Toms River. Right lane is blocked. We have an overturned tractor trailer. Another one here. This is by Route 33, westbound, east of Halls Mill Road in Freehold. All lanes are closed. Now your Hudson River crossings. Lincoln Tunnel's not too bad, about 20 to 25. Holland's only about 20. And now we go to the GWB. The approach to the GWB before this point, if we show this, we show a regular 80-95 approach. So oh, the normal cameras out. Or this is a different, but look at what you got. Miles of traffic. It's about 2.5 miles. And again, the reason is you have first a crash. No, it's a disabled. I was right the first time. crash affecting the local lanes. So the local lanes are the ones on the left side of your screen, just before that curve. And you see the people flashing their lights and whatnot there on the left side. So you have just before that curve, you have the crash. Then as they come around, you have delays on the GWB itself. So making your way in the GWB, that is not the way to go today. Try to avoid that. Your best bet is actually a Lincoln Tunnel approach right now. That is going to save you about 20 minutes at the very least. In California, just a couple of incidents. We have a traffic collision, central LA on the 110 at West Vernon Avenue, and another collision now Santa Fe Springs on the 5 at Valley View Avenue on-ramp. 5 minutes past the hour, the president of Iran has submitted his resignation to the supreme leader. Reports say it's because factions of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps have effectively taken over large portions of the government and shut the president out of most decision-making. Now, that explains why there have been so many conflicting signals about reaching agreements with Iran over the current conflict. So word is the Iranian government is so strapped for cash, they can't pay that very military who now claims to be taking over. So they're basically saying, you can't pay us, we're in charge, you get out of the way. Meanwhile, President Trump sent back changes to the latest proposed deal after a meeting with advisors Friday, extending the back and forth negotiations into another week. The exact changes that he requested are unclear, but officials said the president has insisted on tougher language surrounding Iran's nuclear commitments and its pledge to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. The standoff continued Friday night outside Newark's ICE detention center, Delaney Hall. Unruly protesters would not obey orders from the state police, and violence broke out, forcing officers to pepper spray some rioters. Governor Mikey Sherrill brought in state police to prevent tensions from escalating between ICE and protesters, but some suggest the fact that the protesters became violent with state law enforcement as well points to the fact that many are part of a coordinated effort from some radical groups to intentionally cause mayhem. That doesn't mean there aren't plenty of very well-intentioned protesters. There are. But there are definitely the ne'er-do-wells that are being brought in by paid agitators. As many on the right have been saying for years, most of the violent protesters are paid and organized. I wouldn't say most are, but there certainly is a faction. The governor herself said that 5 of the 6 of the most violent rioters arrested were not New Jersey people. They were from out of state. And that pretty much suggests that the rioters, not all of the protesters, just the rioters, are likely bought and paid for. State police created designated protest zones and checkpoints, but the protesters didn't like that. They resisted moving, some even throwing fireworks and gas canisters at officers. Police pushed back. They used riot gear. That didn't work. Then they used tear gas. So a large number of pro-ICE protesters, some of them, though, the extreme right-wing folks, of course, I'm now forgetting the name. I'm talking off the top of my head here. Not the bad boys. I forget what they're called. Forgive me. But you know who I'm talking about. The folks on the extreme right. They showed up on Saturday morning to demonstrate in opposition to the protesters that caused mayhem on Saturday. It's just going on and on and on. The bottom line is initially the claims were the food was rancid and there were bad conditions. Then there was a tour and the food wasn't rancid per se. It just wasn't what the folks from their particular countries were being served. They like food from their countries. Understandable. Unfortunately, this is what it is. This particular facility gets ranked actually among the highest of detention and prison facilities in the country and has over and over again. If it turns out it's serving bad food, it's your tax dollars and mine. I'd like to know why my tax dollars are providing rotten food. But if that's not the case and we're just protesting because we don't like the fact that people here illegally are in a detention center, that's not an argument. So you determine. We'd love to hear what you have to say. 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. Any opinion is welcome. We want to know what you feel about this. 9 minutes past. NJ Transit Service expected to be back to normal this morning after riders experienced a nightmare Friday. Fire in a train tunnel had stopped service for over 12 hours, even though some service resumed by later Friday afternoon. Delays impacted commuters all throughout the weekend. Officials for Amtrak, which owns the tunnel where the fire happened, say a contractor was doing maintenance work about 1 a.m. Friday. Flames broke out at that point. That caused damage to everything in the tunnel, and there were 5 injuries from the incident. The good news is they were not life-threatening. You're a basketball fan? The San Antonio Spurs will host the Knicks Wednesday night in Game 1 of the NBA Finals after beating Oklahoma City 4-3. Unfortunately, after the Spurs' big win, a young fan suffered catastrophic head injuries. It was a 17-year-old boy. He was riding on top of a moving vehicle. He fell off and onto his head while he was celebrating San Antonio's playoff win. He is in critical condition. He may not make it. Please talk to your kids. Tell them this is never going to end well. Please never, ever try that. It's sickening when that did not have to happen. So we don't like bad news like that. Well, you know him from the MTV reality series Jersey Shore, but might you eventually know him as the governor of New Jersey? Mike, the Situation Sorrentino, says that he may someday, maybe someday soon, run for the office. He made the announcement last Thursday. It was at a party hosted by View magazine in Wall, as he and his wife Lauren graced the cover of that magazine. In 2018, Sorrentino had pleaded guilty to tax evasion and served an 8-month prison sentence, federal prison. He now focuses on positivity and sobriety and has climbed back from the depths. He and Lauren now have 3 children together. In New York State, in order to get a license to drive a bus, you have to be able to be proficient in English so you could safely interpret road signs. Well, maybe that was not the case. It's being investigated. For one driver on Friday morning, investigators say it looks like he may not have been able to speak or read English, but he still got his New York commercial driver's license anyway. And that is being investigated as a possible reason why the driver crashed into stop traffic on I-95 in Virginia Friday morning. That, according to Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy. The crash resulted in 5 people being killed, 44 hurt. Jing S. Dong, a Chinese native who did obtain U.S. citizenship, was allegedly driving the motor coach from New York City to Charlotte when it struck a Chevy Suburban near Quantico just after 2:30 in the morning, and that sparked a chain reaction involving 6 vehicles. Again, a total of 5 people killed, 44 seriously hurt. An entire family traveling from Massachusetts to South Carolina for a wedding. Mother, father, 2 kids, all killed. Now, in New York, many in the Democratic Party have been fighting for something called the Green Light Law, which allows basically anybody who wants a commercial license to have one. And opponents point to this tragedy as a reason why that can't happen if you cannot read and speak English. It's 12 minutes past. Could Spencer Pratt become the next mayor of Los Angeles? The California Post, sister publication of the New York Post, ran an exclusive story over the weekend. The newspaper conducted a poll with McLaughlin and Associates showing the reality star is now in a statistical tie with incumbent Mayor Karen Bass. The reason? Voters say due to the homeless problem, affordability, and the general direction that LA is headed. And Pratt now leads that field based on that one poll with 30.1% support compared to 29.5% for Bass. The city's primary election is tomorrow, just like we have primaries tomorrow. We're going to talk about that. The top 2 candidates would run for mayor in November. Based on this poll, that would mean it could be Pratt versus Bass. And by the way, keep an eye on the race for governor in the state of California too, because they do what's called a jungle primary, where everybody from any party can vote for anybody from any party. And the way it works is the top 2 vote getters are the ones that end up in the final election, the main election in November. So you could have 2 independents who end up in the election. And right now, Steve Hilton, who is, in fact, he's only become an American citizen like a year and a half ago from Great Britain. He is now neck and neck with Democrat billionaire Tom Steyer. So it could be those 2 come November. We'll see what happens in the primary tomorrow. 13 minutes past the hour. When we return tomorrow is primary election day in New Jersey and in California, our 2 points for our channels. We will speak with an expert on all things Garden State politics about the races people are watching when we return in 2 minutes. You're watching Mornings. Don't go away. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato. It is Monday, live in New Jersey and New York. We now welcome our good friends in Los Angeles, actually the entire state of California, but we feature Los Angeles, San Diego, and now our friends in Florida on onfla.com. 3 channels for one low price. Yeah. It is 15 minutes past the hour, 16 minutes actually. I fibbed. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta was never good with hand signals. I tried learning sign language in high school. I did, for real. And I was told in not so clear terms, and you can figure out what that meant.
So
Not so unclear
yes,
terms.
well, you're proficient in the other languages, so
I speak
we like the
7.
Ken that
I'm
we
not
got.
kidding.
Yeah, we like the Ken that we got.
I seriously tried to learn sign language, and it was just so awful. So to all the people who
Okay.
use sign, I
Mm.
apologize. Anyway, I defer to you, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, it's a good thing we have closed captioning. We've got some great weather today, right, Ken? Beautiful sunny skies. A little bit of early morning cloud cover and a little sprinkle rolled through northern New Jersey just before dawn. That may lower pollen a little bit early on in the day, but that pollen comes roaring back to the high level for the trees and grasses specifically. You might even see the little dots on the car tops from all of that pollen over the last few days with the overnight rain. We get a few rounds of clouds each afternoon, any one of which could bring a quick passing sprinkle today and tomorrow afternoon. And then into Friday and the weekend, starts to cool down with some more clouds. There is a chance for some rain on Saturday evening, but beyond that, overall, it's looking like a pretty dry week ahead. Cooler, though, and the reason for that, again, that omega block that's allowing for all of this dry northerly breeze to take over across the Northeast. It's allowing for very warm weather across the Midwest, but it's also cool back out along the West Coast. So right through the rest of this week, plan on that continued sunshine with cooler than average weather. We won't make our average high, which should be in the low 80s this time of the year. We'll just start off each morning in the 50s and then bring back a little bit of a cooler trend as that dry weather and cooler air from the north keeps on coming down through tomorrow and through the middle of the week as well. We'll talk more about what's going on across the West Coast, Ken. That's coming up in your next weather update.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate you. It's 7:18. Our temp in northern New Jersey is 57 degrees, 60 in Trenton. Los Angeles now is 62. San Diego is 61 degrees. And we have a lot of traffic to tell you about. Let's start on Route 33. Overturned tractor trailer westbound east of Halls Mill Road in Freehold. All lanes are closed. Don't have a camera on that, unfortunately. And now we have a crash on 295. It is northbound at exit 27, which is by 676, which takes you right to 76, right where they link up in Belmar. All lanes are closed. So for whatever reason, every one of the cameras from the folks that give us the cameras, all of them are down right now. So just trust me on this one. New Jersey Turnpike, disabled vehicle now as you approach the 8095 approach, that final approach to the GWB. That's a mess right now as a result. In fact, there's about a 3 to 4. We'll show you the approach to the GW in a minute. We also have an overturned tractor trailer, Route 17 southbound. That's by I-80 in Lodi. The ramp lane is closed there, and we do have that camera, fortunately. That's just causing a slowdown down to about 20, 25 miles an hour for about 2 miles. Debris in the Garden State Parkway down in Toms River by 82A. Now your approaches to the Hudson River. The Lincoln is now going to cost you about 15 to 20. Holland is 25 to 30. And the GWB will show you this. This is pretty slow. This is going to go back about 3 miles and only going to take you about 45 minutes in. That's all. Your better approach definitely is going to be to the Lincoln Tunnel. Try to avoid the GWB today if you can. Los Angeles, traffic collision on the 110, and that is in South LA by Century, the 110 by Century. We have a hit and run, no injuries though, in Central LA by North Main and Daly, and traffic collision in Central LA on the 101 at Universal Studios Boulevard. Know exactly where that is. It is 20 minutes past. Tomorrow is primary election day, both in New Jersey and in our other primary viewing state in California. Voters getting ready to make some major decisions that will shape the future, in our case here on the East Coast of the Garden State. So what are the issues on the minds of voters right now? I know somebody who definitely knows better than most. Micah Rasmussen, who is director of the Rebovich Institute for New Jersey Politics at Rider University. Good morning to my friend Micah. I was just saying to our director, I said, please tell him how much I appreciate when he comes on, because we don't get to talk before the show, and how much we appreciate you. So
He
thank
did
you.
tell me that, and I feel the same way, Ken. Thank you very much for
Well,
having me.
Much appreciated, sir. It's great to have you. So, what are the big issues that are resonating most with voters right now, Micah?
Well, this is an election. It's not for president. It's not for governor. At least not New Jersey, and so therefore, it's going to be a lower turnout race. There is a statewide race for the Senate. Uh, Cory Booker is running, so four Republicans are running against him, but there's not an overarching imperative to turn out. Right? If you have an individual race for Congress in your district, you're turning out, but it's not like there's going to be huge turnout. And so when that's the case, you've got Republicans who want to keep the Congress Republican. You've got Democrats who want to flip the Congress to provide a check on Donald Trump. That's not an issue, but that is the motivation if you're a partisan voter. If you're not a partisan voter, you're not turning out. You're going to turn out in November. You're going to be concerned about affordability. But right now, it's about whether or not you want to check on the president or whether or not you want a blank check for the president, kind of a question. Republicans and Democrats really trying to motivate them to come to the polls tomorrow.
Interesting. Well, listen, I just to let you know, when they finally crown me emperor, I will make it such that, and it'll only be for about 30 seconds in my own mind, but I would make every single person, if you want to stay a citizen of the United States, you would have to vote. I don't care what. I don't care what. You would be forced. I would say everyone gets a day aside. You don't have to work. You sit down, you analyze all the issues, and you make a decision and you vote. That's otherwise you lose your right to be an American. And it just, I'm sure it upsets you. It upsets me when anyone, again, if you're a Democratic Socialist, come out and tell us why. We want to know and vote for your Democratic Socialist. Just the idea that people sit back and sit on their hands in this country makes me ill, because that's how you lose it.
Yeah, and if you want to be a little bit less draconian, maybe fine people, give them a healthy fine if they don't vote, right? Maybe we're not going to kick out of the country, but we certainly are going to, make it mandatory to vote. I don't know if we'll see that, but that would be one way, and that's one thing that's talked about.
Hey, you know what? We get in trouble if we don't get our taxes in by April 15th. You could do
Yeah,
the same kind of a deal. Why not?
right.
So, what do you think campaigns who want to energize their base? I mean, we got a day, but what should they have been doing, or what can they do at the last second to get the attention of voters and get them out tomorrow?
Well, the Democratic Party is struggling to, well, I shouldn't say that. There's a tension between progressives and moderates. And you see the same thing on the right, certainly. But in the case of the Democrats, there are two races in particular: Tom Kaine's district in the 7th in north central New Jersey, and Bonnie Watson Coleman is retiring in the 12th district. So Mercer and Middlesex and Somerset and Union. And so in those cases, the question is, are the nominees for those two seats going to be a full-throated progressive? You had some candidates who were out there rallying with Hassan Piker this weekend, and you have some who are trying to strike a more moderate tone. Well, you know what? Moderation may not work in a Democratic primary when voters on their minds are who can be the most progressive candidate. So that's a real tension on their side. On the Republican side, you certainly have a question of who's going to be the biggest supporter of Donald Trump, who's going to be, a check on Donald Trump. Those are kinds of the questions that voters are asking. And I would say on the Republican side, definitely outdoing themselves to who can be the most MAGA, who has the best credentials to take on MAGA. So that's really what they think is going to motivate and fire up their base. And I don't know if moderates who are going to appeal in November are the most equipped to really fire up voters to get out and vote. We'll see what happens.
Here's a question for you, because we mentioned the Democratic Socialists and the MAGAs. Which is more polarizing to their respective pile of people? MAGA? Does MAGA offend the traditional Republicans more than the Democratic Socialists offending the traditional Democrats? Or, which would you say, your gut, which would you say is the case? Because I know I have friends who are traditional Democrats. Some of my best friends are traditional Democrats, and they would vote with their nose plugged for a Democratic Socialist. But I have friends who are traditional conservative Republicans who do not like MAGA at all. So, what would you say your gut is telling you on that?
Well, just in terms of who has more control of their party, there's no question that Donald Trump and MAGA have taken over the Republican Party. I agree with you wholeheartedly. There are people, Republicans, who don't love that. But in terms of room for dissent or room for moderation, the Republican Party has been purged of anybody who's not MAGA, certainly office holders. We saw 2 U.S. senators turned out in primaries this year. So there's no question that I think in terms of ideology, in terms of consolidating power in the party, moderation at this moment is not what the power structure in the Republican Party wants to hear. They want to hear, are you supportive of the Trump agenda?
Interesting. What would you say the primary results tell us about where the state may be headed politically in November? Is it just about what the party says, or do you think the general election will be in any way a reflection of what happens tomorrow?
You know, I guess we're going to find out. If we see the more moderate candidate win, as we might see in Tom Kaine's district, by the way.
Mm,
Rebecca Bennett, helicopter pilot, right? Sounds familiar. She
yeah,
may very well win that primary. And if she does, it means that Democrats in that district are looking ahead to the general election. If if a full-throated progressive wins in the 12th district, in Bonnie Watson Coleman's district, it means that they're not really taking for granted the general election. Very, very Democratic district by the numbers. They're not worried that they might lose that seat. And so voters feel more free to nominate who they want to nominate.
interesting. Well, we always love having you on, sir. Micah Rasmussen, director of the Rebovich Institute for New Jersey Politics at Rider University. Once again, we know this is your busy season. Thank you so much for coming on, Micah.
Thank you, Ken.
You bet. It is 28 minutes past the hour. The phone lines are open, taking calls at 888-658-0234. You're watching Mornings. We're back in 2. Good morning. It is 30 minutes past the hour, Monday, June 1st, 2026. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato, live on the East Coast and the West Coast now. Also, our new channel in Florida on FLA. Now we go to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the forecast near you. And Mike, It looks like it's shaping up to be a decent day today here, huh? In the Northeast.
It is, and a pretty decent week ahead. We have sunshine every morning, a couple clouds arriving each afternoon, and maybe a spritz or a sprinkle. But beyond that, we're staying relatively dry. Had a couple early morning sprinkles roll through across just the northeastern corner of New Jersey earlier this morning, and some showers right now down toward the Florida coast, the northern Florida coast, early on today. It's dry across most of the country, even out west, remaining very dry. West Coast weather looks beautiful this week with that persistent wind out of the north. And while the Omega block tends to give us across the East Coast cooler than average weather, keeps them nice and dry over in California, especially down toward LA and San Diego. Little marine layer each morning, and then giving way to mostly sunny skies each afternoon. So no big weather threats across the West Coast today and really right through the rest of this week. So it's very pleasant there as any of those showers stay well off to the north. So the LA basin remains dry. Back out east, we're looking clear into the next few days. Just a few chances of clouds each afternoon, maybe a little sprinkle. A lot of the activity happens out across the upper Midwest with some of those storms coming in as you look hour by hour. They arrive with these lines of severe weather across the Midwest. It still is tornado season heading into the beginning of June. And so that's what you see here crossing the country right through the middle of the week. But other than that, until we get to this weekend, we're looking pretty dry here across the East Coast as this front passes through, gives us our dry weather each morning and a few clouds each afternoon. So it's pretty quiet this week other than a few afternoon sprinkles. Cooler than average weather, Ken, takes over through Friday.
All right, sir. Appreciate that very much. It is 60 degrees now in northern New Jersey. Our temperature in Trenton is also 60, 59 in Cape May. We go to California, the temperature Los Angeles 62, 62 also now in San Diego. Of course, the sun is up in New Jersey. It's not yet up in California. We check our traffic. We have issues, a lot of them. Let's go over to Route 22. We have a crash now both directions at Wequahic Park in Newark. The left lane of 2 lanes closed, and take a look at your screen. That's the mess that we have as a result. So that's on 22. That is a crash impacting traffic both directions. You could see the oncoming traffic is basically non-existent because they're being held back by the crash on the other side. And then, of course, these poor folks driving into it. So this is one left lane is closed. They just opened 1 lane. Okay, so that's a good thing. So it's impacting both directions, but now the left lane just reopened. So that might lighten things up, hopefully. And that's in Newark. If we go over to 295, there is a crash. 295 northbound by exit 27, which is by where I-76 and 676 in Belmore meet. All lanes are closed. You can see that's the left side of your screen. You can see the Jersey divider in the middle, and that is a separate roadway, even though the people on the right are able to drive by. On the left side, you can see the mess that's causing. Crash on Route 29 northbound, impacting traffic north of 295 Hamilton Township to north of South Warren Street in Trenton. All lanes currently open, just very slow. And over to Route 33, overturned tractor trailer westbound east of Halls Mill Road and Freehold, all lanes closed. Disabled now on 95 up by by exit 72. And we just got an overturned in on Route 17 southbound by I-80 in Lodi. That's a busy intersection. Take a look at what you got on the right side of your screen as a result. Debris on the Garden State Parkway down at Toms River at 82A, and your approaches to the Hudson River. Lincoln and Holland right now are both talking 25 to 30 minutes in, but the real mess is GWB from 3 to 4 miles out. There's first a disabled vehicle slowing things down. Then you have issues at the bridge itself, just slow. This is going to cost you 45 to 60 minutes in. An absolute mess. Take the Lincoln. That's your best bet of the 3 Hudson River crossings. 35 minutes past the hour. The standoff continued Friday night. Outside of Newark's ICE Detention Center, Delaney Hall, unruly protesters would not obey orders from the state police. Violence broke out. That forced officers to pepper spray the rioters. Governor Mikey Sherrill brought in state police to prevent tensions from escalating between ICE and protesters, but some suggest the fact the protesters then became violent with state law enforcement as well points to the fact that this is a coordinated effort from some very radical groups to intentionally cause rioting and mayhem. There are some very genuine good intention protesters, but unfortunately you got an influx of people from out of state who are there to cause problems. They intentionally apparently want the mess that you see. So many on the right have been saying that there are paid protesters, and everybody said, there's no evidence of that. Well, it turns out 5 of the 6 most violent rioters arrested, according to Governor Sherrill, were from out of state. They have nothing to do with New Jersey. So they were bussed in from out of state and paid, and they're the folks that were causing the mayhem. So they got arrested. That doesn't mean there aren't some very good, well-intentioned rioters. I'm sorry, protesters, not the rioters, protesters. But we just want to keep it clear. So for both sides, each side has some valid points. Just take a nice breath. Hopefully we could settle this. But if you do show up to protest, don't throw things. And if the police tell you to step back behind a cage, just do what they say, and you won't have that. But the people who are resisting are doing that to cause the shot for the camera, and there's just no need for that. The original claim, by the way, was some of the people inside the detention facility first said the food they were being served was rancid. Then that kind of got walked back to being that the food they were being served is not culturally appropriate. So if they came from a certain country that served a certain food, that's not what they were getting. Well, you're in prison. It is Delaney Hall, we're calling it nicely a detention center. It's a prison. If you can't walk out on your own, it's jail. And that's what it is because they're here illegally. Now, is it the most ideal circumstance? Hell no. But remember, if you're not here legally, you have the option of downloading an app, telling the United States, I'm going to self-deport on such and such a date, so leave me alone. You will get a free plane ticket, as will every member of your family. You fly back to your home country, then you will get a check for $1,000 each. People forgot about all this from the federal government. And then you could use the money that the federal government is giving you to hire a lawyer in your home country to come back here legally, and you'll never have to worry about it again. But if you stay, this is what could happen. So there is a solution. You just have to follow it. But I think there are people who like to cause problems who are preventing the people stuck in the detention facility from knowing that there is a way around it. A mother in Southern California will spend at least 12 years in prison after pleading guilty to her role in torturing her 7-month-old son to death. Investigators say she tried to cover her tracks by saying the child had been kidnapped. 41-year-old Rebecca Harrow pleaded guilty Friday to charges of felony child abuse and involuntary manslaughter. The remains of her baby Emmanuel not yet found. Harrow had faced the charges for allegedly helping her husband torture the boy and then fabricating the whole story about kidnapping. She had previously pleaded not guilty to charges of murder and filing a false police report, even though her baby's father, Jake Harrow, did plead guilty to murder in October and was sentenced to 25 years to life. A dermatologist from Orange County, New York, accused of trying to poison her husband, had her case dismissed Friday by a judge who said the DA withheld evidence. Emily Yu, that is her name, was arrested by police 2022 for allegedly pouring Drano into her husband's drink. This video is what the prosecutors say shows her pouring Drano into her husband's drink. The defense, her lawyers say, no, we had rats in the house. I poured it into a glass to then lay out for the rats to consume. And when you look at the video or you look at the still, how do you prove that could be orange juice going into a glass? That's all they had on the prosecution side. Surveillance video, they say, shows no, that's a chemical being poured in a glass that was given to the husband. That's the husband's glass. Husband Jack Chen said that he could taste a chemical taste in his tea, which is why he set up surveillance. Chen was eventually diagnosed with 2 stomach ulcers, gastritis, and esophagitis, and FBI tests confirmed drain cleaner was present in his drinking glass. But in Yu's defense again, she said that when she poured it into that glass, just happened to be that glass, she meant that she was going to use that to kill rats. But that has now been dismissed. And this is the second or third time the case, I believe, has been dismissed. So I don't know if they have another shot. That might be it. It is 7:39. You know who could find out more about this case? Artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence is changing the way we work, learn, and live. But for a lot of people, it's still very intimidating. And that's why 2 women are working to make AI easier to understand and more accessible for everybody. Very cool ladies, I am told by our friend Lisa Marie Falbo. Aisha Corpus Wynn and Lana Hout are co-founders of, and I love this name, the AI Chicks. How cool is that? All right, chicks, come on in. See, if I could say that with you, if I say that anywhere else, I'm going to get slapped. So welcome, AI Chicks. It's nice to have you on. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good
How are
morning.
you?
I'm great. So tell me about this. What inspired you to start the AI Chicks?
Well, in our respective careers, I'm actually a longtime Hollywood executive producer in film, TV, and podcast. And my
And,
best friend here.
and I'm actually an M&A advisor helping companies buy and sell businesses.
And within our
Boom.
respective careers, we had a lot of people ask us about our knowledge and expertise when it came to applying AI into our industries. We both were separately geeking out about AI and having more curiosity and inquisitive natures and about AI. And then we learned through our best friendship that has been over a decade of being best friends that we both were separately dealing with the same thing. And we spent years sharing information, also studying AI and getting certified a few years ago. And with me and my producer brain, I was like, every time we get together, we're always talking about AI. And these, later times of our friendship, we should start a podcast called the AI Chicks to help bridge the gap between what the tech industry is sharing with the public and breaking it down to be more relatable. So the AI Chicks is a relatable tech podcast and media brand that is bridging the communication gap.
All right, Aisha, first off, you need to change your name from AYSHA to AISHA. I mean, am I the first one to come up with that, or please? It's got to
Well,
be
yeah.
Sadly, you're
Aisha.
not, Ken, but
All right.
we do love your creativity.
Unfortunately, I'm a day late and a dollar short with it. So tell me why do you think so many people still feel nervous about AI? And if I may just interject before I let you start answering that, I mean, 6 months ago, you just had a case where AI took over. I believe was it Amazon? It shut down their computers against the will of the programmer. So I mean, that's where you think about HAL from 2001: A Space Odyssey. So is that why some people are a little nervous about what could happen?
I think a lot of the times when we're talking about AI, people are nervous because they don't understand it. I think one of the reasons why we got into doing this podcast and then also the curriculum that we have rolled out here that I can talk to you about in a second is because there is a lack of AI literacy and understanding what AI is, what it can do, and where it shows up in our everyday lives. And I think when people don't understand something, that naturally will breed fear. And I think that for us, that became such an important part of our brand is like educating people on what AI is, what it can do, and then also making them feel like they are empowered to be part of the conversation. Because with AI, this technology is moving so fast. To your point, the creators of the AI, all of the tech companies, as they're building, they understand what they're building to an extent, but then there is also the gray part that is like, you create a technology, you don't necessarily know where it's going to lead or sometimes the different use cases for it. So I think for us, what it really comes down to is dispelling and demystifying the fear around AI by bringing in AI literacy.
All right. Well, full confession, the person you're talking to right now is AI. No, I'm kidding. But although many people,
No.
my other half, my other
Ken's
half would say
avatar,
I
Ken's
am.
avatar.
Exactly. You know, that's the next
Yes,
step.
and that's
Um,
actually.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, and that's, we are here. Actually, Aisha and I are coming to you from New York City. We just actually completed our 3-day tour. We started actually in the great state of New Jersey. We went to University High School in Newark, and then we went to actually the Bozer Family Senior Center in East Orange, and then kind of continued on to going to the Academy of Scholarship and Entrepreneurship and in the Bronx, and then we've kind of our final finale of our tour was actually in Forest Hills at the Queens Metropolitan High School. And really, the whole point was we have amazing, curriculum partners, Dr. Jamila T. Davis and J.
Jayla
Love Calderon,
Calderon.
as well as our partners in the New York Public Schools, which is Dr. Tammy Pate and Dr. Josephine Van Ness. And they have been really supportive of really wanting the generation of kids to be very familiar with AI, not only AI tools and how to use them, but actually understanding the fundamentals of the different types of AI.
I love it. Aisha and Lana, please tell everybody your website and how they could watch the podcast.
Well, you can connect and watch our podcast on any of your available podcast platforms from Spotify, iHeart to Apple. We also obviously have a YouTube channel, and you can reach us also on social media. And uh, all of our names are the AI Chicks for our handles.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Aisha Corpus Wynn, Lana Howard, co-founders of the AI Chicks. Check out the podcast. you got to come back again. This is very cool because AI is not going away. It's only going to
It's
become more and more
not.
part of our
Exactly. Exactly.
society.
And it's embedded
So,
in a lot of things that people are already
right.
using. AI has been around, and that's one of the first things that we introduce in our journey and in our conversations with a lot of the everyday people.
Resistance is futile. I
Exactly.
loved having you both on. Would
We should
love you
take Ken
back
on the
soon
road with
again.
I
us.
know. Ken, we need you with us.
I'm
Our
free.
part of our AI
Listen,
squad. You're officially part of the AI squad.
thank you. I'm dubbed. I feel ordained. I appreciate you both, definitely, and all the best with the podcast. This is very cool, and I'm sure it's already exploding. And we'd love to see what's going to happen in the next few months because it's all exponential growth with AI. I love it. Thank you both very much for coming on today.
Thank
Thank you. Take
you.
care, everyone. Bye.
You
Bye.
too. Thank you. I love them. They're great. It is 46 minutes past the hour. When we come back, they're talking about AI. We got another major data breach, this time potentially compromising the personal info of over 185,000 customers of 7-Eleven. I'm New Jersey's brand and digital strategist, Fisher. He'll be back in 2 minutes with the disturbing details. Don't go away. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato. It is 49 minutes past the hour now. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast in your city. Good morning,
Hey,
sir.
Ken. Good morning. Good morning. We've got a beautifully warm start to the month of June, and that continues right through the middle of June. This takes you out through June 15th, and going into the middle of the month, you see some warmer weather with these shades of orange and red here take over for really most of the country. So we'll be hearing a lot about heat waves in the headlines, maybe not necessarily for the East Coast, but especially out in the Midwest, or even down toward the desert Southwest, that heat spreads. There's also higher than average rain chances that take us into the middle of the month, at least for the first 2 weeks of June. Whereas most of that wet weather is confined to where the drought is hit hardest right now, down across the southeast. So a lot of that weather looking to be a little bit on the drier side, especially over the last few months, as we keep it locked in with that drought situation, even across New Jersey. We'll talk more about that coming up and look at how warm it gets over the next few days, Ken, coming up.
All right, Mike. Thank you very much. 750 right now, East Coast 450 West. It is 60 degrees in New Jersey, 62 in Los Angeles. Another major data breach, this time potentially compromising the personal information of over 185,000 7-Eleven customers. Joining us now with this topic and more, brand and digital strategist Fisher, who can be found on X and Threads with username @Fisher and through website fisher.media. Good morning, Fisher.
Good morning, Ken. How are you?
Good, thank you. So we just had the AI chicks on talking about
Yeah, they were
how
great.
AI is they are, and their podcast is terrific too. But in this case, there's a nefarious group called the Shiny Hunters. Talk about them and what they had to do with this 185,000 potential bits of information or on individuals hacked 7-Eleven customers. How did this happen?
Yeah, it was what's called a hack and extortion incident where hackers or attackers threaten to publish the data unless they get paid. It's pretty simple. What you would think that they do with that data. The data breach at 7-Eleven affects over 185,000 people. The exposed information includes names, date of births, physical addresses, phone numbers, and email addresses. Some records also contained social security numbers and driver's license information. The breach was reported on Have I Been Pwned? It's a website, Pwned as in Pwned. If you Google "Have I Been Pwned?" you can insert your information and see if you've been your information has been jeopardized. Again, hackers gained access to an internal server containing franchisee documentation as well as customer information. The breach was reported to state attorneys general in April, just last month, or 2 months ago at this point, and 7-Eleven's Chief Information Security Officer Jim Castle confirmed the unauthorized access to the server. Now, keep in mind, while this, especially the driver's license, social security information, was more related to franchisee information, that other information, first name, last name, date of birth, address, all of that could also be personal information. When you sign up for any rewards programs, you're giving a certain level of information. It may not be your social security number in some cases, but especially New Jerseyans and New Yorkers, right, who have a house up here and then go to Florida maybe for the winter, and you might get a Publix rewards program. Sign up for that, and you forget about it, and that might be exposed at some point. I mean, anytime you're giving personal information, and it's important if you're not using those anymore, if you don't have that second house in Florida and you don't go to Publix anymore, close that account down so that your information isn't sitting on a server anywhere, because eventually they have to delete it. But again, when you're giving personal information for anything, and that's why you're getting these rewards programs for free. And I'm not saying in this case the 7-Eleven, and definitely Publix has not been breached, so I'm not insinuating that. I'm just saying that when you sign up for a rewards program, you get something for free. The information that you're giving is your payment. So if
Yeah.
you're, I get a free something, a sandwich, or free gas or whatever it is, when you get that, your information is what's paying for that information or for that freebie, right? So again, this 7-Eleven breach was small in terms of what we've talked about in the past, but it is pretty massive in terms of the information.
Yeah, nothing's for nothing, right?
Mm-mm.
There is always a cost for stuff, and how important is your personal data to you? And you could say, "Well, I don't care about what people know." Yeah, if your social security number's out there, remember things like when you go to file for your social security next April, remember somebody could file with your number before
Mhm.
you do, and they could get they could say they're a basic income earner, and they could end up getting a $3,500 check, and then you go to file your income tax, and you're told it's already been filed. So that's how
Absolutely.
people could steal from you. That's why you don't want your social out there. Also, Meta making a major push into subscriptions. Talk about that.
Y- Yeah, new paid subscription tiers called Facebook Plus and Instagram Plus, each priced at $3.99 per month, alongside their previously announced WhatsApp Plus for $2.99 per month. It's all part of Meta's effort to generate recurring revenue from its platform. Instagram Plus offers enhanced story features, including the ability to see analytics, more data about aggregate rewatches. You can create unlimited audience lists if you know you already can create a close friends list, but you'd be able to create more. Spotlight a story once a week, even extend stories beyond 24 hours, and many other features. Facebook Plus provides a similar set of premium features tailored to the Facebook platform. Meta has not yet published the complete official feature list, but more details are expected soon. And future subscription offerings from Meta are also planned, including potential AI-related plans, and users, us, will be able to subscribe directly through Facebook and Instagram apps once the option becomes available to us. It's on a rolling rollout, so not everybody has the ability to subscribe to premium tiers at this point. But when you are able, trust me, Meta will let you know.
They want the money because God knows Meta right now, they're struggling for cash,
They
Fisher.
don't,
I don't know
yeah,
how they can.
yeah, their pockets are empty. They're only on coins at this point.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Zuckerberg may have to downsize from his 2 trillion square foot home to 1.8 trillion. And I'll never forget when Zuckerberg bought his house in California, he and his wife. This was at a time, this was in 2016, 2015. They were mocking, Zuckerberg was mocking then candidate Donald Trump for talking about building a wall. He ends up buying his house with 9 houses around it, which he then knocked down to build a wall around the property so that his house would be in the middle of this, basically like a moat, this wall. But yet he was telling everybody else, you can't build a wall. You can't build a wall to protect yourself. Well, what did you just do? He literally kicked people
Celebrities
out of
like to
their
do
homes
that.
and built a wall. Yeah, well, it's
Yes.
nice when you have a few extra $1 trillion banging
And
around.
personal security and all that. Yeah, it's nice.
Exactly, exactly. Not that he hasn't provided an incredible service to mankind, but at the same time, don't be a hypocrite. We'd also like to have our personal safety. So at this point, what can we do? So you're talking about don't put your information out there where it doesn't
Mhm.
absolutely have to be. Is that the lesson that
Correct.
we should learn from all this?
Yeah, again, everything has a price. I would also say don't share personal information in unsecured ways. As we were talking just minutes ago, I just thought of, I've been requested to send my driver's license number, or even social security number in some cases via email or text message. Like, don't do that either. Again, how is the free sandwich or the, free 2 gallons of gas worth the information being out there, and what do you actually get, especially as rewards programs are really devaluing themselves? Is it important to be in for the long run anyway, where your information is then out there? And again, if you've moved or you're not using that rewards program anymore in this case, cancel it. There are many ways on the websites to find out how to delete your account, how to request it. You might have to email in, but close it and get your information off there. And then there are other subscription-based programs that you can use to help get your information out. If any of them want to advertise with us, we'd be more than happy to help spread the word. But there are companies out there that can help scrub some of your information from these programs. But it is important to not put it out there in the first place.
Yeah, unfortunately, then you've given that company all your personal data to go ahead and scrub.
I get it,
but it's for the greater good.
Yeah.
All right. On New Jersey's brand and digital strategist Fisher, who can be found on X and Threads with username @Fisher and through his website, fisher.media. No, we love you, my friend. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Take care.
You too. 58 minutes past the hour. For those of you watching on LACA on the West Coast, stay tuned for your local news. If you're watching on New Jersey, ONNJ will be right back live with New Jersey news, opinion, weather, and traffic. Thanks for watching Mornings with Ken Rosato. Back to you. Very good morning, 8:01, Monday, June 1st, 2026. Welcome to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Partly cloudy, highs mid-70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with a full Garden State forecast. Good morning to you, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. Made it to June, starting off the month on a cool note. And you know, Ken, it stays cooler than average this week without any real big heat ahead. Starting off this morning with temperatures in the 60s. Highs today, thanks to a few afternoon clouds, only make it back into the mid 70s, which is a little bit cooler than average, thanks to a little bit of a warm up that we had overnight, some drier weather moving in, and that is going to allow for a lovely feel for the day today. The northeastern corner of the state tapped into a few sprinkles overnight. Might be why the car has a few raindrops on it, the dirty variety, kind of collecting the pollen. There's plenty of pollen to go around today, even with that dry breeze. And of course, a few clouds by this afternoon, even a little chance of a sprinkle. You see these little dots of green appear on the map after a 45-degree start tomorrow morning. By tomorrow afternoon, more clouds, a few sprinkles popping up. They last, 5 minutes and then move on by. There's a more significant shower rolling across central New Jersey tomorrow evening, and then dry yet again. For Wednesday, it turns warmer. We'll make it into the 80s with more sunshine, maybe come close to 90 by Thursday, and the weekend is trending warmer, and that warmer weather is going to set the stage for some very pleasant weather. You see, we add about 5 degrees each day to the forecast right through this week. Lots of sunshine ahead. We'll tell you all about it, including the weekend weather, coming up in a few minutes.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that. 8:02 right now, and our temperature is 60 degrees in northern New Jersey. It is also 60 degrees in Trenton, and we have a temperature 58 degrees in Cape May as you go down the shore. It's still a little bit cooler at the water. That is always the case, so just beware of that. So we have a crash now to tell you about, and that is on 295 northbound at exit 27, 676 to 76 Belmore. Left lane is closed. You can see there's a little bit of buildup. It looks like they've opened. Yeah, they opened one lane. So it's the oncoming traffic on the left where it says call Ken at. Those were closed. Those lanes were closed. They've now reopened at least one lane. I think they may have opened everything there. It's going to be heavy until that gets back up to speed, but just beware of that. We now have a disabled tractor trailer impacting traffic on the Garden State Parkway. This is southbound, south of exit 136, Stiles Street, Cranford. Right lane blocked. Do we have that shot? There it is. All right. So you could see it's moving. We noticed some cars flashing their headlights because it's the people on the right. See in the upper right? They're the ones headed into the problem, not the people coming our way. But again, that is a tractor trailer should not be on a parkway. Remember, parkways are for non-commercial vehicles. Pam, I'm going to ask you to get me a shot right now. If you could go to I-80 at 17 South, I-80 17 South, please. And you will see that there's a little bit of an issue on the right side, I-80 17 South. All right, so we have a vehicle fire reported now, I-80. It's westbound east of exit 57, Route 19, Patterson. 3 left lanes of 4 lanes closed, and you could see the folks driving into that right now. And that is an absolute mess. That's going to be that way, I'm sure, for the next hour. So just beware of that. Again, that is I-80. Westbound east of exit 57, Route 19, Patterson, 3 left lanes closed. Route 22 now, crash reported both directions with Quayak Park in Newark. Left lane is closed there. Overturned tractor trailer, Route 33 westbound east of Halls Mill Road in Freehold with all lanes closed, and an overturned tractor trailer on 17, and that is southbound at I-80 and Lodi. Ramp lane is closed there. Just an absolute mess. Lincoln Tunnel, your best bet, about 25 to 30 in. Holland is going to be 35 to 40, and the GWB upper and lower levels an absolute mess. This is stopped. Look, oh, well, you got the ring of death in the middle. But trust me, this is very, very heavy. It's going to cost you 45 minutes making your way into Manhattan via the GWB. Don't know why we have that internet issue, but just suffice to say, I'm looking at it live on my end. I'm not in the same spot as that internet that you were looking at. It is 8:05. It is not unusual to feel nervous before a presentation, a meeting, or even speaking up at work. But for some, that anxiety can become overwhelming. It can affect one's career and everyday life. Psychotherapist Jonathan Barrett has some practical ways to start building confidence. He's written several books on the topic. Work Makes Me Nervous and Beyond Shyness. Good morning to Jonathan. Good to have you on.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
How do we know if we have normal stress? Because a little stress is okay, right? But when do we know that it's beyond normal and it's something more concerning?
Well, that's a very good question. It's abnormal when a person starts avoiding, that's the key term, avoiding situations that cause anxiety and stress. And when the stress becomes overwhelming, there's a lot of pain, as in panic. Let's face it, we live in a very complex, challenging business environment. Many business systems are broken. AI is taking over. Now is not a good time to have performance anxiety. And by performance anxiety, I mean when adrenaline gets the best of a situation in formal public speaking situations, informal, collegial interaction, supervision situations. Again, when a person starts avoiding, the problem just gets worse over time. And let's face it, in this challenging business environment, would you want to invest in a person who has avoidant behavior and an avoidant personality?
Right. Exactly. There are a lot of folks out there right now as jobs are becoming more scarce for certain career paths. Absolutely. I can remember, Jonathan, back in the day when I was starting out in television and I worked for ABC News, I worked for Fox News, I worked for CBS News. I remember being told by a colleague, pretend there is absolutely nobody watching. It is just you and the guy behind the camera. Ignore everybody and just start talking and focus on your talking. And once you do that, you just overcome the stress because it's when you focus on this on the people, that's when it's stressful because you worry about judgment. Do I have that right pretty much?
Well, you have that right, but that's very simple for the people who are afflicted. Now, for example, people avoid these challenging
Mm.
situations very much because of fear of being noticeably nervous. For example, fear of blushing. One woman, and you can hear her interview at socialanxiety.com, said, I'd rather be back in chemotherapy than speak in front of a group. Why? She suffered from erythrophobia, which is fear of blushing. And she said, with cancer, there's no judgment. With blushing, I'm out there for everyone to see my flaws. Other examples of fear of being noticeably nervous: hyperhidrosis, fear of sweating,
Mhm.
voice stammering, panic attacks, which are very visible. So, treatment and what's in the book, Work Makes Me Nervous, think of it as CrossFit. It's a paradoxical investment. The belief is that adrenaline is your friend. So here are the steps to do that. Number one is realistic expectations. Your adrenaline is going to be there. Don't waste any time hoping it's not. Number two, which is the hardest, is accepting it with the interpretation that it's power in your friend. Step number three is one or two diaphragmatic breaths with the image of the surfer. I call this surfing, the surfing going with the wave. The wave is adrenaline. You go with it, you're in control, you don't, and hence panic.
What I am hearing, Jonathan, and I'm sorry to just harken back to it, is the fear of judgment. And it's like that sense that whether it's the blushing person, the quivering voice person, the hyperhidrosis person, it's the fear of somebody else. You have hyperhidrosis whether you're alone in a room or in a room with 100 people. It's the 100 people who would look at you and think there's something unusual and might judge you for it. Is that what people are afraid of? Because when they're alone in a room by themselves, they could sweat all they want.
Well, exactly. It's the fear of judgment, and many people who suffer have imposter syndrome. My practice is full of people who are perfectionists, and the last thing that a perfectionist wants is to have people believe they're not perfect. So basically, there are two modes of treatment to solve this problem. One is technique. Everybody says, "Give me technique. I'm looking for technique to solve the problem." The technique here is surfing. That said, the deeper work is introspection, and this is what people don't want to do. Introspection, which is going inside, because a person has to understand where was the negative association to adrenaline learned. A lot of people who suffer from fear of being noticeably nervous also have experienced complex trauma, which means how their self esteem became at risk. And if one goes to the website, socialanxiety.com, there is a vast free clinical library of interviews. The world-renowned physician who, quote, cured, that's her word, her public speaking anxiety, CEOs, entrepreneurs, very successful people who you'd never know have this problem, but who suffered and then were able to resolve this condition.
Fascinating. And I know in your book, you lay out a 21-day program, right, about repetition and exposure. And that is such an important part of overcoming anxiety.
Exactly. One needs repetition, and they also need different strategies to go along with that. But the more that the tendency is to avoid, keyword here, avoid what is threatening. But the more that avoidance kicks in, the more that the anxiety at a deeper level accrues. And for people, what happens is people who suffer from this will do anything they can do to avoid getting help. And they come for help when things become dire. And the most important thing that I could teach people is that your most valuable asset is time. You can borrow money, you can't borrow time. And the more the situation goes on, the more it accrues and the more it gets worse.
All right. What is that website once again for everybody who wants to get more info?
Socialanxiety.com.
Well, we all have some level of anxiety, so this would behoove everyone. The books are titled "Work Makes Me Nervous" and "Beyond Shyness." Psychotherapist Jonathan Barrett, we appreciate you coming on this morning.
Thank you.
You bet. It is 60 degrees right now, 8:13. When we come back, tomorrow's primary election day in New Jersey, we'll speak with the executive director of the FDU poll to see where things stand right now. We're back in 2. And a very good morning. It is 15 minutes past 8 o'clock, and this is on New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. We're taking your calls at 888-658-0234. Nice day, partly cloudy, highs mid-70s. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with a full Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. We've got a beautiful day today, lots of sun, and as we approach the summer solstice, just under 3 weeks away, this is the time of year where the UV can be quite strong. So important to use the sunscreen, even though the temperature isn't that warm. UV doesn't care about temperature. It's going to be strong today, up at an 8, which is high, and with temperatures again warming into the mid-70s, it'll feel rather pleasant. Had a few early morning clouds across the northern half of the state. They have since moved on out, and now we're straight up sunshine through the rest of the morning, but the afternoon will bring some passing clouds later today. You can see it with the Futurecast. Zoom on into New Jersey. Most of those breezes coming from the north, the northeast tends to bring in some cloud cover each afternoon. That's the case today and tomorrow afternoon with some clouds and maybe a passing sprinkle as highs try to make it into the mid-70s again. I say try because it's going to take some time. It really does a slow warm up each morning because we start off so cool. Even tomorrow night, cooling back down into the 40s and 50s. We climb into the 70s and 80s by the middle of the week and make a run for 90 close to Friday and Saturday. So there is a warmer trend ahead. It just takes about 4.5 days to get there. The longer range forecast into this weekend puts a healthy dose of clouds around New Jersey. That's because a front moves through with some rain chances going into the end of the weekend, specifically Sunday into Monday. So we'll likely see some wet weather by then, but until that time, it's pretty dry, significantly drier than usual, even for the first half of this week. Looking ahead into the end of the week, there's our sunny and 92-degree Saturday. Very warm weather, and then likely see some clouds and showers roll through by the end of the weekend. So some very pleasant weather ahead, Ken. We'll take a look at that forecast coming up again, and 7-day in a few minutes.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Mike, at 8:17. Temperature now is 60 in northern New Jersey, 63 in Trenton, and it is 59 degrees in Cape May. Pam, I'm just going to give you a heads up. We're going to do this shot and just get your fingers ready, Pam, for 22 at Vauxhall. You don't bring it up now. Just get those fingers ready. 22 at Vauxhall. All right. I have something special for you there. So first, let's talk about a crash on 295 southbound at exit 26S. Route 42, which is by 76 and 676 in Belmore. The right shoulder is closed. So that we do have, right? Yeah. So you can see what's going on there. Just a slowdown, all due to the right shoulder being closed, people slowing down as they approach the right shoulder. You do know the law in New Jersey and about 40 other states is if somebody's broken down on the shoulder, whether it's a police officer or somebody broken down, you're supposed to get over to one other lane, leave an empty lane. And if you can't do that because of traffic, you're supposed to slow it down 20 to 30 miles an hour. That's what the law says. So that's what those people are doing. That is what the law says. Over to Route 22, we have a crash now both directions at Wequahic Park in Newark. All lanes closed westbound. This is actually the next thing. No, this is it. Yes, you're right. Pam is right. So this is Route 22. Okay, so Wequahic Park, Newark, all lanes closed westbound, left lane of 2 lanes closed eastbound. That's why you don't have a big flow of traffic coming at you. So just be aware of that. Garden State Parkway, disabled tractor trailer. Southbound, south of exit 136, which is Stiles Street in Cranford. Right lane is blocked there. Up by I-80 now, we have a vehicle fire westbound, east of exit 57, Route 19 Patterson. 3 left lanes of the 4 lanes closed. That is an absolute frickin' mess. We could say frickin' in that case, folks. That's legal. We have an overturned tractor trailer, Route 33, and that is westbound east of Halls Mill Road, Freehold. All lanes closed there. And an overturned tractor trailer. Wow. I think it's the sunlight in people's faces because that's a lot. 3 of them. Overturned tractor trailer, Route 17 southbound by I-80 and Lodi with the ramp lane closed. Good Lord. Hudson River crossings. Lincoln is about 25 to 30. Holland is 35 to 40 in the GWB upper and lower levels. This is a mess for about 4 miles. It's going to cost you about 45 minutes into Manhattan right now. Still better than it was the other day, but if we could show the approach to the GWB, this is the 8095. They're readjusting the camera. But trust me when I tell you, it's about 4 miles of bumper-to-bumper traffic into the GWB. So try to avoid that. Lincoln is definitely a better bet if you can make your way there. It is 8:20. New Jersey voters head to the polls tomorrow for the primary election. All congressional seats are on the ballot, as they are nationwide every 2 years. Along with Senator Cory Booker's U.S. Senate seat, although he is running unopposed on the Democrat side. There are a number of Republicans running for it. There are several closely watched races drawing attention across the state. And joining us now is Dan Cassino, Executive Director of the FDU poll. Good morning to you, Dan. Always nice to have you on.
Thanks, Ken. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Let's do a poll on traffic and why it sucks in New Jersey every single day.
We've done lots of polls on NJ Transit, and I think that's also how people feel about NJ Transit. So the traffic is about where we'd expect. Yeah.
It's crazy. As a relative of mine from the Midwest once said, why do all of the entire state of New Jersey, why do you all en masse try to move over here at the same time and then come back at the same time every day. I said, that's called a commute. He said, but that's nuts. I said, yeah, I guess it is if you think about it. Anyway, that's a whole other show. Dan, what stands out to you most this election cycle?
So we have two important primaries that are going to happen tomorrow. I mean, there's lots of primaries, but the two where people are really paying attention to are first in NJ7. So this is the race among Democrats to try and go up against Tom Kean Jr. This race was already considered kind of a toss-up. It was going to be a tough one for Tom Kean Jr. to win in a year where this is expected to be very good for Democrats. But the fact that Tom Kean Jr. has been absent since March, no one's seen him. A couple of people have heard from him. He's looking a little bit like Bigfoot at this point. And, we've heard from people who say they've talked to him, but no one really has. This race has gotten a lot more tight. The Democrats are now favored to win this race, but there's a huge fight among Democrats about who the challenger is going to be. Voters in this election, Democratic voters in the primary, are very concerned with electability. And so we've had all the major candidates talking about electability, trying to make the case why they're the most electable. Frontrunner is probably Rebecca Bennett. She is very similar in her bio to Mikey Sherrill, former helicopter pilot. She's a mom. They basically could use the exact same ads Mikey Sherrill used, just switch the names out. And she's also a prolific fundraiser, also like Mikey Sherrill. And she is the establishment favorite, and that probably is going to be enough to put her over the top because she is perceived as moderate, and voters really want someone who they feel can take down Tom Kean Jr. The other race people are following closely is the race in NJ12. Now, over in the 7th, we only really have 4 Democrats who are running. In NJ12, it's about a dozen Democrats who are running, and of them, probably 4 have a reasonable chance of winning. If we don't have any reliable polling in this race, it could be anybody's game. The frontrunner at this point is probably Adam Homowy. So this is someone who has gotten a lot of heat from the center of the party for being too left, especially when it comes to Palestine. Now, if we were talking about the 7th, that would be a big deal. Oh, this guy might be too far left. He might not be electable. But the 12th, this is Bonnie Watson-Coleman's district. This is the most reliably Democratic district in the state. So voters are much more concerned with ideological purity than they are with electability. And that might put Adam Homowy over the top. He's also gotten a lot of heat, including from other Democrats like Josh Gottheimer for palling around with Hassan Piker. Very popular with the left side of the party, not so much with centrists and not so much with pro-Israel Democrats. Other challengers there, we've got Sue Altman, who you might remember 2 years ago ran against Tom Kean Jr. and lost in a hard-fought election. She's running there. She's got a bunch of endorsements. I think even though she is very much a progressive, used to be head of the Working Families Party here in New Jersey, she is seen, I think, by the party establishment as being the best alternative to Homowy, who they see as being too extreme. We also have, kind of local politicians. So someone like Brad Cohen, who I think probably 10 years ago, while the party still controlled every aspect of New Jersey politics, probably would have been the nominee. And even some outsiders. Say the one to pay attention to here is probably Sam Wang. This district for a long time ago was district elected Rush Holt, the guy famously had the bumper sticker say, "My congressman is a rocket scientist." And Sam Wang is a professor and is an academic and is trying to base his campaign around science. So he's got a shot in there as well. But really, it's all up for grabs, anyone's game. The betting markets really are putting Homowy up, but that's because they are very online and the very online people like him. We have no idea what the voters think.
Well, I'll tell you, Dana, I know a lot of Republicans right now who are seething mad with Tom Kean Jr. Look, this is not your personal seat to have forever. And, if you have a medical problem, come out and tell people. People are very empathetic. You share it. If you had a bad facelift and you're afraid of what you look like, again, share it with people. If you have a psychological problem, an emotional problem, then you got to step aside because it is depriving the seat from going to somebody who could very well win with it. And at this point, when there are only a few seats that define whether Congress is controlled by Republicans or Democrats, it is not for yours to just sit on. And I think if he ends up losing this for Republicans in the fall, there's going to be hell to pay. And also with the Republican Party in the state of New Jersey for letting it go on this long like this. Now, congressional seats come up every couple of years. Obviously, a lot of people, for whatever reason, I don't know why they don't realize this. It wasn't taught in school, I guess, to them. Yet it seems a lot of voters don't feel it necessary in what they would consider an off election year, as there is in a presidential election now. So why is it still so essential that voters get to the polls right now, Dan?
Well, look, we do actually have a lot of potentially tight elections here in New Jersey. And these candidates, as you say, the turnout is going to be low. Turnout is much lower in these off-year elections, the midterm elections, than the general elections. But this is much more important for defining what's going to happen at the national level than anything else we're going to be doing here in New Jersey. So remember, this is about what's going to happen in the last 2 years of Donald Trump's presidency. If Republicans are able to hold on to the House of Representatives and or the Senate, Donald Trump is going to be able to continue to do as he has been doing. If he loses control of the House, well, that matters a lot, because that means he won't be able to pass any more bills. Now, Trump has not been legislating largely through bills, but that will mean investigations. That will mean that there'll be fights over funding for things that people care about. This is a high stakes election. This is going to determine what's going to happen in the next 2 years and potentially much longer than that. The Senate is also up for grabs. Those are going to be very tight races, not here in New Jersey, where Cory Booker is expected to sail to re-election. But again, that's going to determine whether Donald Trump is going to be able to get his nominees through, as well as passing bills. So we have very, very high stakes in this election. We all know the status quo is just not going to be holding up. The status quo has fallen apart, and it is going to be up to us to determine what the future of the country looks like. This is your chance to be heard, especially these primary elections where turnout is going to expect to be very, very low.
Yeah, the amazing thing is, looking at the statistics, if you are an incumbent senator, no matter what your party, you have an 80 to 90% chance of being reelected. That's just an astounding number. Is that all just because of name recognition?
No, part of it is name recognition, certainly. Part of it is because most members of the House of Representatives especially do not face serious challengers. They are in a district that has been gerrymandered to make sure that one party is going to win, and the incumbent doesn't face any serious challenger, so they get reelected because no one's really running against them. And a lot of it also in the House of Representatives side especially is constituent service, where it is just like every year about 0.5% of everyone in the district calls up the member of Congress to ask for help with something: immigration, healthcare, Social Security check didn't come. And if they're able to help out their constituents, that's a bunch of people who say, well, I don't like all Republicans, I like all Democrats, but this guy's good. He got my mom's Social Security check. And that matters a lot over time. So we've seen real focus in these seats, especially Tom Kean Jr. has been famous for this, of doing constituent service, of taking all the staff that would have gone to, looking at bills and writing laws and saying, no, we're putting everything in constituent service because that's what's going to get us reelected.
All right. Dan Cassino, Executive Director of the FDU poll, a man with so many stats in his brain, I don't know how he keeps his head together. We appreciate whenever you come on, Dan. It's always a pleasure. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me, Ken.
You bet. He is so smart. I love this guy. He's just so full of facts and figures, and he's always smack on with data. It is 8:28. When we come back, the phone lines are open. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. You're watching Mornings with Back in Two. Very good morning. Monday, June 1st, 2026. It is 60 degrees right now at 8:30. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. Partly cloudy, highs mid-70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the full Garden State forecast. Good morning to you, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. Another pretty day ahead. Dry conditions, low humidity. We're loving the start to June, especially where the temperatures at the shore have cooled off into the mid 60s. That'll be our high for the day today. A little further inland, thanks to a little bit of a breeze that's blowing in light off of the water, doesn't make it feel too warm. So we'll enjoy the dry weather through the next few days, but that does mean an increase, a significant one that is, in tree pollen and grass pollens back to the high level for the next few days. Our average high is 77, so we'll be right around there today, nowhere near the 95-degree record. However, there is some warmer weather on the way that comes in later on this week. And while the water temperature is still very chilly in the upper 50s and low 60s from Cape May and Sandy Hook, there are your high tide times. So great weather for boating over the next few days with those light breezes. The rain chances are very low this week. We'll be pretty dry, just a little spritz or a sprinkle tomorrow. But as we head into the weekend, I think that's where we see some rain come back, especially for Sunday. Keeping an eye to that as we look ahead to some wet weather way down the road. But it's all due to this big blocking pattern that keeps our northerly breezes around, allows for a few clouds each afternoon, and a generally cool feel. It's not necessarily hot and humid, that you'd expect for the start of summer, at least the unofficial start of summer, as those westerly winds keep going by Friday. Then as we head into the weekend, that is next weekend, Saturday and Sunday, you see a big rise in temperatures up into the 90s as soon as Friday. Saturday and Sunday feature those hot conditions, high humidity, and that's our next chance for some significant rainfall about a week away. So dry this week, even down the shore, temperatures holding in the low 70s to low 80s, looking great all around with continued pleasant weather ahead, Ken. Nice way to start June.
All right. Thank you very much, Mike. Appreciate it. It is 8:32 right now. 60 degrees northern New Jersey, 63 in Trenton, 59 degrees in Cape May. A lot of traffic to tell you about right now. Let's start off. Route 22, we have a crash both directions at Waquaic Park in Newark. All lanes closed westbound. One lane is closed eastbound. The westbound is coming toward us. That's why, because all lanes are closed, that's why there's nobody coming at you, because you can't even get on the highway. Those people came on from the exit after the closure. That's why you see a car here and a car there. Eastbound, everybody bumper to bumper because one lane is closed during morning rush. So that's just going to be a mess. Again, that is 22 crash affecting both directions of Quayak Park in Newark. Garden State Parkway has a few issues to tell you about. We have first, this is one that we don't have a camera shot for, and that is a disabled tractor trailer on the GSP southbound south of exit 136 Stiles Street, Cranford, with the right lane blocked there. This we do have one, I believe, for, and this is a crash on the Garden State local lane southbound north of exit 114 Red Hill Road, Holmdel. Oh, no, we don't have a shop. That's my fault, Pam. I'm sorry to throw you. This is in Holmdel. All lanes are open, but that's causing a big slowdown through there. Just got an overturned on Route 33. Westbound east of Halls Mill Road, Freehold. All lanes are closed there. Let us go to the Interstate 80. This is a mess. Interstate 80, there's a vehicle fire east of exit 57, Route 19 in Patterson. 3 left lanes of 4 lanes closed. This is, again, I-80. If we have that, that is a vehicle fire I-80 westbound east of exit 57, Route 19 in Patterson. And you can kind of see the traffic there by the 0234 coming at you. That's causing that strip right there to be quite a bit slow. Overturned tractor trailer Route 17 southbound by I-80 in Lodi. Ramp lane is closed there, not too far from where this incident was. And your approaches to the Hudson River, an absolute mess today. This is the 80. Okay. Thank you, Pam. This is the 80. This is by the vehicle fire that was just cleared up. So it turns out they got the fire out, but it's they got to get the vehicle taken off the roadway here. So it looks like they may have flatbedded it, and they'll pull it out right now. Let the truck through, folks. I love when people fight the truck. So you get to see this being cleared up in real time. All right. There you go. So we won't be doing this one again in 15 minutes. I love when that happens. Nice to be able to wrap it all up. So what you just saw there, that was the end result of a vehicle fire, I-80 westbound east of exit 57, Route 19, Patterson. That is now the last time you will hear us talk about that. Approaches to the Hudson River, Lincoln and Holland. The Lincoln is your best bet at 20 minutes in. Holland is 30 to 35 at the GWB upper and lower. Do we have camera shots back, Pam? No. Yeah, for whatever reason, these were always the reliable camera shots, and they're out this morning. Some issues there at the GWB, but we're told it's about 45 minutes in, upper or lower on the 8095 approach. Well, this August, the Ed Lucas Foundation will once again bring together Hall of Fame baseball players and legends for the annual David Cohn Celebrity Golf Classic, all inspired by the incredible life and legacy of legendary blind broadcaster Ed Lucas. With us this morning is renowned sports artist James Fiorentino, who is helping bring the Ed Lucas legacy to life while also painting the official yearbook cover for the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum. We say good morning to James. Good to have you on.
Hey Ken, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. And you do amazing work. For anyone wondering, just go online and look at Mr. Fiorentino's work. You'll see what I'm talking about. Talk about the incredible story of Ed Lucas, and it really is an incredible story.
It is. I mean, Ed is really a New Jersey legend. I was lucky enough to meet Ed probably about 25 years ago, actually at Yogi Berra's golf tournament. And Ed's story goes back to when he was a young boy, and literally on the day of Bobby Thompson's famous home run, Ed was a young boy playing baseball. He was hit between the eyes with a baseball and became permanently blind at that age, but it never stopped him. And he would go on to become this famous sports journalist. And all the ball players over the last 50 years who have come through, whether it was Shea Stadium or Yankee Stadium, were all interviewed by Ed. And he took friendships with all these players, and which obviously resulted in this golf tournament, which has been going on for over 25 years. So really an amazing life story, and I don't think I could kind of capture it, in a few minutes. But again, just a legendary New Jersey person who had been doing so many great things for so many years.
I'm also an acquaintance of New York former Governor David Patterson, who's a huge baseball fan, and he's one of these walking encyclopedias of baseball knowledge and stats, especially Yankees. And Ed Lucas was an announcer for both the Yankees and the Mets, obviously. But there's something about the having the slight the eyesight depravity, not the inability to see, and the ability to paint the picture in your mind. I asked Governor Patterson about that. I said, why is it that an Ed Lucas knows so much and is so good at being able to relate? And David Patterson had told me it's because we picture in our minds things that you can't even see on the screen. I thought that was fascinating. So the descriptions and the ability to talk about statistics and all, they can see in their heads much better than the sighted person can see. So pretty amazing stuff. And again, as you mentioned, Ed lost his eyesight as a child. So the majority of his life, he was sightless, but yet able to paint those pictures and bring them to life like nobody else. So now this event celebrates the relationships behind baseball. We'll get that camera shot back. I think we have his audio, but we don't have the camera. But the event really celebrates the
Yeah.
relationships behind baseball. And that was so important to Ed. Let's see if we can get him back.
Sorry about that.
James, yeah, we'll have to refresh that camera. There's James. All right, we got you back. So the event celebrates the relationships behind baseball, and that was really important to Ed, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, that was his passion. I think, Ed obviously had a love for all sports, but baseball obviously is what he, took a passion too. And I mean, he was a part of so many incredible moments. And I mean, one of them, again, just relating it to New Jersey sports, was he actually was there for when Jackie Robinson had his first professional hit, which was a home run in Jersey City. And he tells me an amazing story of I think it was maybe the mayor of Jersey City that year having all the kids stay home from school to go to the game, knowing the importance of something like that. So he's been a part of history and baseball history for many years. And that's even why, it was just my idea to say, with all the different golf tournaments and themes we've sort of had over the years, I said, we really should kind of tie something in with the National Baseball Hall of Fame in the sense of, Ed interviewed all these players. So over this period of time, it was so many Baseball Hall of Famers that had come through playing from when they first started to when they ended their career that Ed was interviewing. And it was funny you mentioned before about things that Ed could actually hear that maybe a lot of people wouldn't hear.
Mhm.
The different cracks of the bats and players talking, and just that part of baseball that we're watching and Ed was listening to, and gave him this opportunity to write, in a special way. So, yeah, very very amazing. And obviously, the game of baseball allows you to do those sort of things.
It's just such an American sport, wonderful, wonderful sport. And you've spent years highlighting athletes and sports history with your incredible art. So, what does this event mean to you?
Honestly, for me, it's just the love of the game and the friendship I had with Ed and Allison Lucas for all these years, and all the wonderful things we do with the golf tournament and the charity. I always get up and speak and remind people of what we're doing, and the money we raise, which goes to disabled people, whether it's in the state of New Jersey or outside, scholarships at Seton Hall to the Seeing Eye in Morristown, to all local charities that involve people with disabilities and obviously the seeing impaired. So we're celebrating baseball, we're celebrating Ed's life, but we're also doing something really, really exceptional, I think, in the community of raising all this money. And it's been honestly just I feel like it's getting better every year, and so we're very lucky to have that.
Amen to that. And just a heads up, because we're down to our last minute, but I want people to know that James is also painting the official Hall of Fame yearbook cover, which is just huge. Getting back to this year's golf outing, it features Hall of Famers like you got Raleigh Fingers, Harold Baines, Ferguson Jenkins. I mean, talk about heroes, talk about icons, and a lot of other well-known baseball names. You got to go check it out. And again, it raises money for the Ed Lucas Foundation that our friend James here is the vice president of. You've dedicated so much of your career to doing great things like this involving sports. The David Cohn Celebrity Golf Classic, raising money for the Ed Lucas Foundation, takes place. It's Thursday, August 6th, right? Brook Lake Country Club in Florham Park.
Correct. Yes. Yep.
All right. Can we still get tickets if we want to still join?
Yeah, so believe it or not, I think we're announcing today that we sold out of golf, which is probably the fastest we've ever sold out. But we have dinner tickets available. We have an incredible auction and some other sponsorships available. But I think it just shows how many people now are really, loving this event and coming back every year. And like the names you mentioned, not only were they great players, but they're great people. So we have a
Mhm.
really great list of celebrities that come, former Yankees and Mets and other sports, and a lot of sports writers and people tied in with sports on the media side. Lisa's covered us for the last 2 years. So we're just really lucky to have such great people that want to help us out. And again, the players are just wonderful that everybody's there. So there are dinner tickets available. You can go to the Ed Lucas Foundation website and check all that out. And we're just so appreciative of all the support we get from everyone and everybody from New Jersey. So very, very lucky.
Well, you do good, good comes back. The edlucasfoundation.org. It's the edlucasfoundation.org. And again, Lucas, Lucas, renowned sports artist James Fiorentino, VP of the Ed Lucas Foundation, helping bring the Ed Lucas legacy to life, also painting the official yearbook cover for the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum. We always love when you come on. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Ken. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Always our honor. Thank you so much. What a great guy. It is now 60 degrees, 8:44, and we are going to come back with our friends at AARP New Jersey, bringing us a segment on how to navigate changes in the SNAP and Medicaid programs as we speak with the Commissioner of the New Jersey Department of Human Services, Dr. Stephen Cha. We're back in 2. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, 846, and we will take calls at 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with a pretty darn nice Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
It is very nice. Good morning to you, Ken. We've got a beautiful week ahead, very dry, very pleasant. But if you look back, we've actually seen this dry weather persist for even beyond the last 30 days, seeing a little bit of more of a drought situation, especially across northern New Jersey, where that area shaded in red is now up to a 2-inch rainfall deficit. That's all points north of Route 80 and even down south toward Cape May, down, past exit 20 or so on the Parkway. You see those conditions continue very dry. So the severe drought remains all points south of 195. Northern New Jersey still remains moderately dry. And this weather, the dry weather that is, persists all this week as the cool air lingers throughout each morning. We climb into warm territory, mid-70s each afternoon today and tomorrow. And even for the first 2 weeks of June, anticipating not much additional rainfall. Maybe we get some rain by this weekend, but that certainly won't be enough to quell kind of the thirst that the ground has right now for that moisture. The warmer weather takes over for the rest of the next 2 weeks in the first half of June, and we'll start to see that arrive as we head into the end of this week. Friday time frame, tap into the low 90s. We stay there on Saturday. Warm, sunny weather takes over, and then after some rain on Sunday, look what happens by Monday. 55 degrees and cloudy. So a big change from this weekend's warm, sunny weather into next week, which starts off very dry and very cool. At least we time out the weekend nicely for that warm sunshine, right, Ken? Looks great into this weekend.
All right, sir. We appreciate you. Thank you very much, Mike. As always, it is 60 degrees in northern New Jersey, 63 in Trenton. It's 59 in Cape May, a little cooler by the water right now. And we have a lot of traffic to tell you about. Here's one we do not have a camera shot for. I'm just giving a heads up to Pam. This is Route 33. They don't have cameras on 33, but there is an overturned tractor trailer on 33 westbound, east of Halls Mill Road, Freehold. All lanes are closed on Route 33. Try to avoid that. That's a big truck route, and that's going to be an absolute mess. Couple of issues on the Garden State Parkway. One is at exit 114. There's a crash on the Garden State local lane southbound, north of exit 114, Red Hill Road, Homedale. All lanes open to traffic, but that's a mess. And on the, a little further up, a little further north on the Garden State, disabled tractor trailer southbound, south of exit 136. Did you hear what I said? Disabled tractor trailer. Tractor trailer should not be on the Garden State Parkway. So that is part of the problem. And that is again at exit 136. And that is Stiles Street, Cranford. The right lane is blocked as a result of that. Route 22, we have a crash affecting traffic both directions. Waquayak Park in Newark, all lanes closed westbound, one left lane and one left lane of 2 lanes closed eastbound. And then Route 7, there you go. And that's causing that. Wow. Just a lot of traffic there. Finally, we have an overturned tractor trailer. It's on Route 17 southbound at I-80 in Lodi. Ramp lane is closed, causing a mess there. And your approaches to the Holland Tunnel, the approaches to the Hudson River right now. Holland Tunnel is 35 minutes. Lincoln is 25. GWB, we only have one distant camera. Do we even have that? Yeah, this is not the normal camera. I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe they're servicing it, but you could see the traffic making its way. This is about a half a mile further back from the normal shot that we would show you, and that is a mess. We're told it's 45 minutes in on the GWB right now, so try to avoid that if you can. 8:50 is our time. The following is brought to you by our good friends at AARP New Jersey. Medicaid and SNAP benefits are critical resources for so many families across New Jersey. But with recent updates and changes, many residents may have questions about what these changes mean for them and what steps they need to take to maintain coverage and benefits. Dr. Stephen Cha is Commissioner of the New Jersey Department of Human Services. We say good morning to you, Dr. Cha.
Good morning. Great to be with you.
Nice to have you on, sir. And there are major changes happening now with Medicaid this year. So explain what those changes are, please.
Sure. So just backing up, about 1.85 million New Jersey residents are enrolled in NJ Family Care, which is our New Jersey version of Medicaid. Now, about 30% of those New Jersey residents, about 540,000, got coverage for the Affordable Care expansion. And that's exciting and fantastic. Those folks, however, will be subject to new eligibility requirements under what we call HR1, the budget bill that was passed by Congress last year. So this budget bill creates new requirements for all those people, all those 540,000 people. We're worried, and some people have projected that we may lose as many as 330,000 New Jerseyans who could lose NJ Family Care due to these new federal burdens. And we're really concerned about that and trying to work with folks to make sure folks are tracking on that.
And for folks who may not understand what HR1 was, under the Trump administration, there was some Medicaid fraud in pockets of the country. And unfortunately, because of a few people who were the bad guys, the good people who desperately need Medicaid now may slip through the cracks. And that's what stinks. These people desperately need Medicaid, and they may go to get health coverage in an emergency and find out, oh, you're no longer eligible. So what is it that every few months they have to kind of renew again and kind of reprove that they need to stay on Medicaid?
That's exactly right. And so, just to be clear, a lot of these changes don't start for some time. So we have time. This isn't a tomorrow thing. Most of these changes start to take effect. Certain undocumented immigrant populations start to lose coverage in October of this year. The bigger changes start in January of next year. But we want to be sure that people are understanding what's happening and what we're doing now in partnership to be sure people can tackle some of these challenges. Just as you said,
Gotcha.
we're going to have more federal burdens. They're going to have to prove that they're working, what they call community engagement requirements. And it's going to have to happen every 6 months. Most people are used to doing this every year. For that
Right.
540,000 who got coverage through the Affordable Care Act, that 30%, you're going to have to do it every 6 months starting in January. So it's good to begin the conversation now about what that's going to mean.
So your team is active right now in helping residents navigate the updates and make sure that people don't accidentally lose coverage, because you don't want to be in a catastrophic accident, find out you're not covered.
That's exactly right. So the governor's budget, which is before the legislature now, invests in systems and partnerships to prevent these unnecessary coverage losses. And I should be clear that those folks who are going to lose coverage, that 330,000 New Jerseyans that I talked about, the vast majority of them are still eligible. They're still eligible for coverage. It's just that they're not going to get through all the paperwork hurdles and burdens that are now put upon them because of that HR1 bill that was passed. So the governor's budget puts about 10 million more to strengthen the coordination amongst state agencies and counties. And counties are the front door for a lot of these benefits. To invest in some vendors to help us modernize our systems. And it also includes 71 million, because one of the other things the bill did was just remove money from the administrative cost for the SNAP, the nutrition benefits. So the governor's budget puts 71 million to support those county agencies, again, because they are our front door for both nutrition and health benefits to get people access. So we're just trying to focus for the rest of the year to make our systems work better, to take these investments in both county partnerships and our vendors and make this work better for people. We want all eligible residents to stay on the program as much as we can.
Sadly, so many people who are on Medicaid are the very people who are unable to get the mail, read the mail, figure out multiple pages of complex forms, fill them out, get it. Those are the people that need the help the most. And unfortunately, they're the ones we're obviously most concerned about. But what should people do if they get that renewal paperwork or notice in the mail? What's the first thing they need to do?
Yeah, so we're going to be reaching out to contact all of our beneficiaries by fall 2026 of this year with more information. And again, for 70% of our beneficiaries, don't need to do a thing. Don't worry, relax. For those people who got coverage through the ACA, there's a bunch of hoops and hurdles that you have to go through, and we'll be giving you more information if those changes apply to you. But yeah, I got to say, it is hard to track mail, and we understand that's challenging. We'll have customer service lines open. We're already talking to community partners and trying to think about how we can get those messages out, talking to our providers and hospitals. But watch for your letters, emails, text. Make sure your contact information is up to date, and be sure you open and respond to all that mail as soon as possible. We're starting to send some of those alerts out now just to get people prepared, but we do have some months before people really need to take action.
Yeah, for people who don't realize, Medicaid is almost half the budget. And not just this state, but most states around the country. Medicaid is huge because healthcare is so expensive. We kind of started to deal with it in the last couple of decades, and we kind of dropped the ball. And this is still a major problem. Doctor, if people have questions or need help with Medicaid or SNAP, where can they go? What website can they go to, or whom can they contact right now?
Absolutely. You can call the NJ Family Care customer service at 800-701-0710, or go to our website at dhs.nj.gov. So we're here to help support people. We want to make sure that your contact information is up to date, and make sure that both, and we didn't talk about the SNAP, but more than 800,000 New Jersey residents also rely on SNAP, and we're seeing projected benefits losses as well because of that budget bill. So it's both nutrition and the healthcare that we're really trying to figure out how we can move forward here.
Wow. Well, thankfully, you're on top of it and helping so many people out. Dr. Stephen Cha, Commissioner of the New Jersey Department of Human Services. Thank you for this very important information, and thanks for coming on this morning.
Appreciate you.
All right, so we're doing something funky with the background. How do you like it? I hope you're taking a nausea pill for that. Just to tell you really fast, we have a crash on Route 4 westbound west of Bell Avenue, Teaneck. 2 left lanes of 3 lanes closed. It may just be clearing up now. It looks like it's a little better than it was a minute ago. Meteorologist Mike Favetta says partly cloudy today, highs mid-70s. That's on New Jersey Mornings for your Monday, June 1st, 2026. I'm Ken Rosato. Catch us again tomorrow morning at 7. Till then, have a great day. I'll work on this.